Hey guys, this is I Need Peeling doing a coaching review for Alienteavend and OverwatchDojo. Really looking forward to it. Big fans of your work. Let's get started.
Just make sure that you hear my voice.
Yep.
All right. Okay, so let's see the game. It's King's Row, and you're defending
So,
first.
well,
I will just go to the beginning of the
Yes.
game, and I'm hoping to see what you have here in regard to your teammates. Do you usually press tab, or at least occasionally?
Yeah, usually.
Usually. All right. So we should be able to see something. Or if not, then we'll just figure out what's going on with the team. There's a Rain, there's a Diva, there's a Junkrat, and we cannot see the supports right now, but we should be able to see them somewhere. Okay, there's a Zenyatta, and I think there's a Mercy. Someone just changed to Mercy. Alright, so Reinhardt, Diva for the tanks, Junkrat and you for the DPS, and Mercy Zenyatta for the supports. And I'm talking about this because I want to ask for your opinion. If is this a good team? Is this something that you love, or do you have any comments about the setup here?
Okay, this is good. Start with some questions, get buy-in from your student. I think this is a great way to start the approach. Yeah, good work so far.
I usually like playing with a Reinhardt,
Mm-hmm.
personally, just because I have a little experience playing with him, so it kind of like I can kind of work with him a little bit. Um, but aside from that, I'm not usually like, too.
This is really good. I like whatever you're doing right here, and putting the Rhine on the map and so forth. That is good. Visuals are always a really, really good idea.
Picky about what the rest of the team does, just because I don't know the best way to critique that or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm really interested in whether if you feel comfortable with a team or not, like this. So it's a 2-2-2.
Hmm.
But how do you feel? What your objective is with Tracer, right?
So this is good too, because you took his answer to the question, and you pushed a little bit farther. You you didn't back down from what you were really going for when the student gave you an answer. You gently pressed toward what it is that you really needed to understand. I like this.
Now?
Um, well, when I came in, I was kind of just gonna stay around my team, poke a little bit, see if I could get a pick here and there. Um, I figured that the Reinhardt was set up right at the choke, and the Junker would probably just spam right through it. So that'd probably give them, uh, probably stop them from walking right through, and then I would just pick them from there, see what I could get.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. I think it's important to just briefly check what the team has and create a mental image of where you will set up and decide what your job is. Currently, what you are saying, this is basically true. The Reinhardt players are usually setting up in one of the chokes here. Oops, I deleted the images. I didn't want to do that. Sorry. So the Reinhardt sets up either on this choke if they are pushing forward, or if they are playing a little bit better, they are defending these chokes. These are more defendable.
I like the use of visuals here. This was good. That was good.
And you also have a Junkrat to spam the choke when the enemy is coming in. So what you can suspect is that you will be able to secure the kills, because the Junkrat is usually a character that works well in chokes, but the damage that he does is uncoordinated. So the Tracer's job in these scenarios is to just clean up in the defense if you play Tracer in the defense.
So I would like to hear a little bit more. Um, I'd like to hear a little bit more specificity here. When you say clean up, tell the student exactly what you mean. Um, I think, and your student may understand exactly what you mean, but as the viewer and as someone who has, 125 hours or so on Tracer and doesn't play her very much on defense, I'm not sure that I understand what you're saying. Um, so, um, yeah, just a little more specificity here.
That is.
Gotcha.
All right. I think it's important to talk about that in the beginning of the game to make sure that you know where your place is when you start the game.
And what you may mean is just hang back, make sure you don't get killed, um, and attack people who are weak. Um, Focus on, supports and DPS. Leave the tanks alone for the time being. Just, that sort of thing. So it may be obvious, but I want to make sure. I want you to make sure that there's not information getting lost in translation.
Okay. Um, Quickly rewinding here just a bit. So focusing the Pharah is usually not a good idea as Tracer, but as she is the first target to see and she has the Discord, I think it's fine right now. You just need to pay attention not to get too much damage in because she can kill you in 2 direct hits. So that's something that you want to pay attention to. Okay, apart from that, um, if you just look at a screen right now, do you see anything that is remarkable here?
That line coming straight across that shot.
Yeah, okay. So what does this tell you?
It's probably a widow, probably a sniper.
Okay, and what is the conclusion from that?
Uh,
This is really good. This is really, really good. It's a subtle cue, but it's very important, and you're drawing his attention to it.
Probably should stay out of her line of sight.
Yeah, all right. It's really important to stay out the line of sight if you suspect that there is a sniper. In the attacker side, they usually bring some kind of sniper, whether that is a Widow or a Hanzo, it depends on the players of the enemy team, and they are usually setting up on top or at this position, or when the enemy team is able to push in through the choke, the sniper is usually taking a better position on the left side to have a better line of sight on you. What the takeaway here is that you need to be really careful because the Widow can one-shot you easily if you don't pay attention. All right. Anything else that you can see right now?
The tank kind of pushed behind me, so I'm a little bit forward of him,
Yes,
kind of open.
that's a really important thing. You usually want to stay behind your tank as much as possible. It's not only because the enemy has a sniper that can kill you easily if you are an easy target, but it's also because the enemy can hit you anytime and you don't really have that much health. So you can of course use the recall ability, but then you have to be passive. And right now, with Tracer in defense, your objective is to push the enemy back, do as much damage as you can, and if they get low, you can just go in, try to kill them, try to secure kills for your team, making sure that the enemy can't push in, and then recall to safety if that's what is needed. So yeah, positioning. You really need to pay attention to where you stay. You don't want to lag in front of your tanks. You don't want to be in the front with the flanker heroes. Not with Genji, not with Tracer. You can't withstand a lot of damage. So what you do here,
So this is good constructive feedback. I would say this is evenly delivered, and it's very calm, and it's good. It's good correction. Well played.
to get back behind your tank, that's what you should do. All right. You just really need to make sure that you are not the first thing that they see. All right. Um, let's assess the situation right now. What can you see in the previous moment? What is happening?
So the Reinhardt used his fire strike. I'm probably in a bad spot. The Roadhog probably could throw his hook at me from there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I see that the Discord was on the Pharah,
Yeah.
I think.
Also really important to
And
watch out for.
um, that's all I see so far.
Okay, yeah.
Right clicks.
Again, positioning. Your job is to do damage. You are not someone to be in the front, because when you are in the front, you are getting focused. When you are getting focused, you will feel anxious about getting damaged and stuff like that, so you can't concentrate on doing damage. This is a lot easier when you are playing more slow DPS like McCree or Soldier. Because with Tracer, you are so mobile, you always want to be near the enemy. That's just how the Tracer feels well. What you need to pay attention to, however, is that you don't want to expose yourself like this. So right now, when you're staying here, the enemy is focusing on the Reinhardt, but if they decide to go for you, they will be able to use the Pharah, they will be able to use the hook, the hog with the hook, and stuff like that. And that will make you retreat, and that will make you do less damage overall.
So I liked the pacing on that one a little bit better. One thing with the first two things that you commented on was the advice was excellent. Just keep an eye on pacing. Sometimes a VOD review, a session with a student can feel a little bit slow. This may not necessarily be a bad thing. The student may be really enjoying the interaction, but sometimes they need a little more stimulation. It really depends on the student. So just things to keep in mind.
Right.
Gotcha.
But when the attention of the enemy turns towards your tank, then you can be aggressive. This is usually when you need to be aggressive. So staying behind the shield, staying behind terrain for cover, and making sure that you are not exposing yourself like this. Again, you are the single target that enemy can see, and if they decide to hook you from here, it will be really hard for you to stay alive. So try to, I mean, you need to farm the ultimate, you need to do damage, but you can be a little bit safer if you are playing from behind your tanks.
Gotcha.
All right. If you have any questions, just make sure to stop me and we can discuss it, or comments or remarks or.
I have a question. So I don't know if you're, and I know that I mentioned just a second ago something about pacing and making sure that you are keeping the attention span of the student in mind, but do you think of this as a good comp for defense? This is just a conceptual question for you. Um, Junkrat, Tracer, the Tracer pick is on first point King's Row is an interesting choice to me. I'm not saying it can't work, but it's just interesting. Wondering what you think of that.
Anything.
All right, I will.
Okay, cool. All right, nice, nice one on the Pharah. Cool.
Good, good. Praise is really important, especially because you've given a lot of constructive feedback so far. It was well delivered, but the praise was very effective. It's really important to make sure your student knows that you're on their side and that you think they can be really, really good or even great.
Okay, cool. That's a nice pick. Um, what do you think the next thing that is going to happen? I'm not sure if you reviewed this VOD before, if you remember, but after this pick, what is the next thing that will probably happen?
Well, I assume the Mercy was gonna go res him.
Yes.
So I see her right there, and I think I remember I went right after her.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So in the current meta, it is really important to pay attention to the Mercy, because if you are able to use the ult well and gain a lead, in the fight, this will usually hinder the push of the enemies and will make them retreat if more than one um, of their allies are down. However, with the Mercy, she can res and she will usually come in, and that is predictable. And anything that is predictable should be abused by you. So, yeah, you realize that really well, and that is a really important kill on the Mercy. So, very well done.
Good, good, very, very good. And good, so good statements on the theory of the game and how to think about the game. This is a big, fat plus. Good job.
That's a thing that you need to keep in mind, that the Mercy will usually try to rest anybody who is going down in the beginning of the team fight,
Man, this guy's doing really well so far.
and you can abuse that fact to make sure that you win the team fight. So this was nicely done here. Alright, let's see
Gotcha.
what was happening here. Get a pick on the rain. Hitting the hog. Okay. One little thing here is you can get a little bit closer to the enemy as you have the blinks available, you have the recall available, so you are also healthy, so you can get a little closer just to make sure that you do as much damage to the head of the easy target as possible. Roadhog is a really good ultimate battery. So if you get closer, you will be able to do more damage. If you do more damage, you will get more ultimate charge, and that's a really important thing. So when they are not focusing you and it is safe to do so, I recommend you going a little bit closer to the enemy, just to make sure that you do more damage.
Good, very well delivered. Good advice. It's clear, it can be easily understood, and it cannot be easily misunderstood.
Alright, gotcha.
Okay. So here goes the nice mercy pick. So this distance is what you should look for. You should be out of reach for most of the enemies, but it is a good distance for you to do damage. It is easier to hit the targets from
I'm not
this
sure what's
distance.
going on with the video.
Alright. Okay. That's a thing to pay attention to.
Shit. Oh, damn, baby. I got fucked in.
Alright. What can you tell me about these few seconds here?
To the point.
That's what
So the Tracer blinked right by after the ulti. So they used the Reinhardt ult. Hanzo uses his ult. I think my intention to blink past the shield and shoot behind the Rhine was to just try to like get him to turn around and kind of slow down that push that I felt was gonna come through. But again, the Tracer probably went by untouched.
Yeah, alright. Hitting the enemy tracer is not an easy task, and I usually don't recommend getting into a 1v1 fight with the tracer if you have better targets. The most interesting and the most important thing here is, yes, the enemy used an ultimate, and what you want to do is make sure that after the picks that they do, you get the same picks, because that's how you can make sure that the point stays with you. Because if the chances are even, if the numbers are even, you are usually in the advantage as the defenders. Okay, on King's Row it's a little bit different, because the attackers are getting back to the point more quickly than the defenders, but usually the defenders have the advantages if the numbers are equal. The thing here that I wanted you to notice is that when you blink past the shield, you are exposing yourself to the enemy team quite heavily. So if this Hanzo was a little bit quicker, and if he didn't really concentrate on the ult but tried to flick you and kill you, that it is a really dangerous position to be behind the enemy shield if you don't have a target to kill. And currently you don't really have any good targets to make to just get the last shot on. So
Could he go after the Mercy? Don't know. You're the expert here.
You are being a little bit too aggressive, diving into the enemy team without a real purpose. And this is again a positioning mistake that you should try to avoid in your games. Try not to push in the enemy team if you don't really have a goal. Alright? Because
Gotcha.
it will usually not slow them down as much as you want them to slow down. They won't turn to you and they won't start hammering at you because you are not really dangerous right now. They are at full health, so it's not a big deal that you are there, but you are too exposed here. You are too easy to kill. And apart from that, when you realize that you are in a bad situation here, you will use the recall. That is a really important part of your kit and that you usually want to use when you are getting damaged. But now you have to use it to reposition yourself in a better position. That is also something that you need to pay a lot of attention to, where how you control the recalls. It's really important. So you usually don't want to use it to correct your mistakes. You usually want to use it to make sure that you get a kill and stay alive. All right, that was the second thing about that. The third thing is you usually don't want to get too aggressive when you have the ult or when you're around the ult. So if you just stayed in safety here, poking at the Reinhardt and the Hog who are not paying any attention to you, they just want to push to the point, then you could have charged then ultimate and stuck the Rein again, making sure that you are in an equal footing.
That's all superbly delivered. Very nicely done. Clear, clean, and I mean, there was no way to say that faster than you did.
Gotcha.
Okay, so that was a lot, I know that, but I think it's really important to be able to realize these things in your reviews, because this way you will be able to spot them in games, and if they keep repeating, you will be able to get better by making sure that you notice them. Okay, that was a missed ultimate, not that a big deal because you got the kill, but against small characters like Anna, what you usually want to do is you just want to make sure that you blink as close to the character as possible and aim for the lower body, because the ultimate has a little bit of arch in it, and if you aim for the upper body, it will usually miss if you don't practice it a lot. So that's just a general recommendation, to aim for the lower body from.
I did not know that. I'd heard to aim down, but I didn't really understand why. That's great.
Real close distance.
Gotcha.
Okay, so if you see where you throw the ultimate right here, it's around the middle of the body of Diana. She backed away from it, so it may have not stuck even if you try to aim for the legs, but it's just a general tip that that is important to follow. All right. So what can you tell me about this situation here? What is going on right now?
So the Mercy ults,
Yep.
and then they still got their back to me. There's Roadhog's got his back to me. He just finished his.
She backed away from it, so it may have not stuck even if you try to aim for the legs, but it's just a general tip that that is important to follow. All right.
Good. Very good.
So what can you tell me about this situation here? What is going on right now?
So the Mercy ults,
Yep.
and then they still got their back to me. There's Roadhog's got his back to me. He just finished his ult. It looks like he's low, and then there's somebody at the top right. which I think might have been that Tracer. Oh no, Tracer's dead by that time. Okay, so
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure who is on top there.
might be the Hanzo.
Might be the Hanzo, yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. Okay, yeah. Okay, so let's think about what your job here now. Can you tell me what do you think you need to do right now?
Um,
Or what are your priorities? What is the best target to kill?
I mean, I would hope to be able to kill the Mercy, but she's kind of hard to hit when she ults.
Yeah.
So I think I didn't trust my ability to do that, so I think I just shot at the Roadhog.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if she's a good target at this point when she ults, though.
Not really. It's really
Okay.
hard to hit the Mercy, and even if you hit her, she can regenerate a lot. So it is usually recommended not to go after the Mercy with Tracer or with anyone who has sustained damage. If you play Hanzo or McCree, for example, who can kill quickly, you may be able to get the kill on the Mercy. It is doable with Tracer as well, but the Mercy needs to make a mistake, and you can't count on that. Okay, so you decide on killing the Rod. I think that's good. Rod is a good target in any case because you will be able to charge a lot on your ultimate if you go for the Roadhog, and he's an easy target to hit. So yeah, anything else about this situation?
Um, Probably in a bad spot because that Hanzo's overlooking the
Mm-hmm.
top right there.
Okay, how can you fix that?
Um, Probably get closer to that under that wall that he's on, so he would have to really look down to get me.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe just blink towards my team and
Yeah.
get in with them.
Okay. If you judge that the situation is too hot to be among your teammates, then choosing this wall may be the better idea. But generally, you just want to, in these situations, you just want to gravitate towards your team because they will be able to heal you and protect you better if you are around them. If the enemy is not paying attention to you and you are not exposed to any threat like this, then this position is really good because it is open, you can still blink around, and you can do damage. But in the current situation, because the Hanzo poses a threat to you, uh, it would be recommended to go towards the team. Okay, another thing about this situation is that you can see that you are basically in the lead here. You have more kills. So these are the situations that you need to realize that you can be really aggressive. These are the situations that if you kill more enemies now, it will delay their regroup. So it's really important to get quick kills and focus on the same target with the team.
That was beautifully delivered. Um, really nicely done. One comment that I may come back to later is, and this again, this is depending on the attention span of your student, but if you do have the time to, once he does tab, which I'm not sure that he's done yet. I mean, but we do know what we do know what both comps are at this point. It may be worth talking about the enemy comp, what they're going to try to do, and his team comp, and what they should be trying to do. You've talked about his role, um, excuse me, but I'm not sure we've spent a whole lot of time talking about what his team's structure and movement and goal is overall. Other than I mean, in the broadest terms, we already know what it is, but things to consider there.
All right. Okay. Um, what what is the intention with these checks to the spawn of the enemy?
I think I was anticipating the Anna to come back a lot quicker than she did.
Okay.
So I was kind of anticipating her coming back so I could go after her and stop her from healing while that Mercy ult was still going on.
Okay. All right. The biggest threat when the Mercy ults is the double res. If you are not able to kill the Mercy, then you should make sure that you are able to kill anyone who she is resing, because that's how you can win the fight. When you try to catch the reinforcements, you are taking time away from the real team fight. And even if the Ana started walking right now towards you, she will have the advantage because she can hit you from a distance and she can sustain herself from this distance easily. So even if you jump the appearing Ana here, it won't be an easy fight to win. However, the team really needs your help right now to get rid of the attackers on the point. So the team is lacking a little bit of DPS because you are checking for the reinforcements. It's not a bad thing to do. I would say that it is a really good intention, but it is better to do when you are sure that your team can handle him, that your team can handle itself on the point.
So it seems like they're in a spot where they probably can handle themselves on the point right now. I mean, they're up. I mean, double res aside. So you know more about the theory of the actual game than I do. But I don't know. Let's continue.
So right now it would be a lot safer for the whole team if you were there on the point doing damage instead of trying to anticipate anyone coming to reinforce. Okay.
Got it.
And also it's usually recommended to try to catch the enemies off guard when you have the when you can close the distance easily. So if the Ana is here in the choke and you can get close to her, it will be a lot easier for you to kill her. Whereas if there's a distance, it's not that easy. Okay. Again, a little bit too aggressive, getting too close to the hog. That's a nice mercy pick, Howrah. Good job. Okay, a slight mistake here. That's a nice mercy pick, Howrah. Good job. Okay, a slight mistake here. You had blinks and you had your recall. You didn't use it. That just may be because you were in the middle of the action. You were a little bit too deep in the enemy team. That's what killed you, basically. So you passed the choke, you tried to kill the Mercy. That Mercy pick is really important. The Ana killing you, she threw the nade too quickly maybe, and you were unable to recall. But it's basically worth it if you are able to trade for a Mercy, because they will... so you can get back close to the time when the Mercy arrives to the point in the enemy team, and you are basically stalling them because they don't want to push in without their Mercy. They don't want to risk not getting rezzed, usually. So that was a nice pick. Alright, again, a little bit exposed. Getting close to the enemy. Okay, and the Hanzo got, I think that was a scatter.
Yep.
Not sure.
Like you said, that wouldn't have happened if I didn't expose.
Yes. So going on a flank route is alright, but please try to read the situation right now. So why could the Hanzo one-shot you here?
One scatter, and then he's also had the high ground.
Yeah.
Could probably get a headshot.
Okay. Anything else?
Plus, I'm not behind my Reinhardt shield.
Yes, that's true. Also, anything else?
This is good. Keep asking questions, help him understand the game more deeply.
Um, I don't know.
Okay. If you watch what is going on right now, your team is behind the hotel here or fighting in the hotel. So that's that's the front basically. That's the front line. You are trying to get behind the enemies, and right in at this exact moment, they are able to see you, and they are able to call you out that you are trying to go on a flank route. If they communicate. If they are not communicating, they can still, two of the six people see that you are trying to go behind them. So you're not just exposing yourself, you are being a little bit predictable. All right? So
Gotcha.
when you're playing Tracer, it's really important to use surprise as a that's an important tool in your kit. If the enemy is able to see where you're coming from, they can anticipate you and they can kill you easily. That one shot by the Hanzo, you can see that the Hanzo is already trying to get a hit on you, and it was just too easy for him to wait until you cross the choke again and get a headshot on you. If you watch the Hanzo right now, he is preparing to kill you here. All right.
Yep.
Okay. So again, positional mistake, and it was basically mainly from exposing yourself too early.
Oh, that did not go well.
You can try to act like this, but you want to make sure that the teams are already fighting and they are concentrating on each other, and that the enemy team is preoccupied with your frontliners. Because then you can go behind them and then you can try to kill them, but not until that. Okay, that was little bit too hasty on the
Yeah,
hog.
missed that one.
Okay, apart from the miss, anything?
He's ulted and he's also getting healing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, looks like our diva's out of mech.
This is a section where I would be careful about slowing down the review too much. I'm not sure the student is going to get the answer that you're looking for. I like that you keep pushing for the answer that you want, but it may be good to it may be good to cut to the chase here.
And again, the exposing myself here.
Yes.
So whoever's on the left side of that.
Yeah, you're not really paying attention to what is going on your left side. Also, if someone is nano boosted and if that someone is a tank, it's usually not the best idea to try to stick him. There is a big deal of damage reduction going on, and it's really hard to secure the kill like that. The hog now is around half health, but he's getting full healing from the two supports. So in this situation, it would be a little bit better if you try to stick one of the supports in the backline and then recall quickly, or just stayed back with your team and did damage from safety. Okay?
Got it.
Alright. Again, that stick again, it shows me that you are having a little bit of trouble when the targets are strafing. So you missed the same way like you missed Diana, but she was going backwards. Now this hog was going forwards. This can be practiced with in custom games against bots. I usually recommend putting in Anna's and Lucio's, because the Lucio's can speed boost the bots, and then you will have a harder time to predict their movements, their pace, and you have to follow that with the ult. So that's a thing that you can practice.
Okay, I'm going to break this into two parts, and that is the end of part one. I would say so far, very well done. The feedback is calm, it's positive. One thing that I mentioned to IOStux as well, as a very calm and calculated coach. When a player makes a really good play, especially if you've been offering a lot of constructive criticism, I think it's good to punch up the excitement a little bit. This player's made a lot of good plays, so it may not be quite as necessary, but when a player is having a really bad game and then they make a good play, make a big deal of it. Um, let's see, what else? Haven't spent a whole lot of time talking about the rest of the team, what they might be doing, what he needs to, like maybe overall places as far as positioning. You've talked about positioning in situational terms a fair bit, and that's good. All of this is, economizing on your time and making sure that you're keeping the student's attention. It sounds like this student's attention span is just fine, so I wouldn't worry so much about it here. Let's see. Yeah, to be continued. Very well, very nicely done so far. This is an excellent coaching session.